Hi Stitchy friends, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. My name is Kenzie from Mudpuppy Stitchery. I am a cross-stitch designer, I am a bird nerd and a wildlife lover, and I enjoy doing all of the crafty things. So if you're new, welcome. I hope that you like what you see, and I hope that you'll continue to follow up with me on all of my future videos. For my current subscribers, thank you so very much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So hi everyone, I hope everyone has been well and has been enjoying the hot summer days. I am so sorry that I have been gone for quite a while, a little bit over a month. July has just been quite busy and a difficult month with some fun things mixed in as well. I've unfortunately been feeling quite unmotivated and uninspired, both in my stitching and in my designing. So I've been trying to get back into the groove without forcing myself to do something that I don't have the energy to do. My concentration and energy levels have been pretty low, so I don't have a huge amount of things to show for my month-long absence, but I had enough to do a video on a couple things, and I hope you'll enjoy that. We've been dealing with some serious health issues with one of my close family members after a cancer diagnosis. And so my whole family has been focused on giving them the support they need to get through this difficult time. And I wanted to send a huge thank you to all of you who have reached out in the comments saying that you'll keep my family in your prayers. That means so much, and I so greatly appreciate it. I was able to get away for a long weekend at my boyfriend's family's cabin in northern Wisconsin, and that was an absolute blast and very much needed. We had really great weather and spent time in the water fishing and mucking around in our waders, and also visited a really cool zoo. We really enjoyed our time and can't wait to get back to the cabin, hopefully this fall. So that's kind of been what's been going on with me for the past month. Let's shift our focus to some stitching and some crafting that I've been doing. The first project that I worked on was my Modern Folk Embroidery Fruits of Plenty Stitch Along 2021, and I really enjoyed putting some time into this piece. It's only got 2 colors, so that really helps with making it easy to pull out and stitch on. And I am stitching this on an 18 count Picture This Plus fabric called Valor, which is this really beautiful sagey green, and it really complements the 2 purples that I chose as floss colors. The lighter variegated purple is called Victorian Plum by Threadworks, and the darker purple is called Plumage by Roxy Floss Co. And the combination of the 2 is just really, really nice. This time I worked on the middle motif, just focusing on one color, and I think it turned out really good looking. And it's going to look even better once I add in the other variegated purple. I did end up making a mistake, and I'm hoping it's not too obvious. This portion and this portion are supposed to be symmetrical, but that didn't end up happening, unfortunately. But I think it's similar enough that it's not too glaring to the eye, and it doesn't bother me enough to rip it out and restitch it. I absolutely hate ripping things out and will avoid it at all costs unless it really needs it, which is rare in my book. I think there's going to be so many motifs and details that nobody will notice that it's slightly off. And if they do, then they're looking at it too closely. So my goal for this piece will be to get to the other side by the end of the year, which I think is very doable. And if I'm able to do that, I will be extremely happy with my progress if I'm able to accomplish that. So this has been a really fun piece to work on, and I am excited to pull it back out again. This next piece that I worked on was the Bee Queen by the Tiny Modernist, and this was a chart that I won from my friend Denise at Black Ribbon Stitch Studios as a giveaway. This chart is so fun and so colorful and cheerful. I just love it. So I started stitching this on February 27th of this year. on a piece of 18 count jalapeno by Fiber on a Whim Fabrics. This color of fabric just makes the pinks and the yellows and the whites pop out so well, and I'm really pleased with this color combination. I've mainly been focused on the border work, which has been really fun with all the little flower motifs and the little bees. I'll probably start outlining the bottom of her dress just to make sure that I have my borders in the right place. But this has been so fun to work on, and I'm eager to get back to this one. I reached out to my friend Corinne from Corey Creates here on Flosstube, and she's also just starting this stitch as well. I thought it might be fun if we did a stitch along together, and she thought that would be a fun idea too. So we'll be working on this piece together, and if you're not watching Corinne, please go and check her out. I'll make sure to have her channel listed down below. She is a wonderful floss tuber and is always working on beautiful stitching, so I would highly recommend her. The next piece that I'd like to show is Moggy Manor by the Blue Flower, and this is one of my oldest whips, started back in April of 2023. Now this is being stitched on an 18 count old gold by My Vintage Needle Arts on Etsy. And this color of fabric just makes the floss colors pop so perfectly. I just love it. I'm using mostly my own chosen colors because I'm doing a whole bunch of customizations to this piece. I've changed the chart to include dogs instead of cats, and these will represent the dogs in my life that have passed away. So this will be a nice memorial piece for them. Their names will all be written out here in this cartouche, and I've been working on charting that out already. So this will probably be the next thing that I work on when I pull this out again, is stitching out their names, just so that I can get a break from all of the tree stitching. This time I worked in the top right corner. Let's see if I can get you a little bit closer, where I finished this small bird here, and I worked on these branches and then added this neat little bird here. My goal for this piece is to finish it by the end of this year so that I can get it professionally framed. And I think I'll be able to make that goal. I just need to keep plugging away at it. At the bottom, it says, "All dogs go to heaven." And I've stitched the cats to be 2 Cavalier dogs. Got 2 miniature poodles. And then I've got a Westie right there on the top. So I am so pleased with how this is turning out, and it makes me so happy to work on this piece, and I can't wait to pull it out again. So you'll definitely be seeing more of this piece in the future as I keep working on it and aiming for a finish. I'd like to share with you a newly finished piece called Bedelia Bunny by the Artsy Housewife. Now this was a chart that was started back in March of this year with my friend and fellow floss tuber Marcy of Amnicon Studios. I started mine as a memorial piece for our bunny Esme, who passed around the beginning of the year, and so I changed all of the colors to look like her. Marcy did the same thing and has actually fully finished it, and it turned out amazing. It looks just like her little bunny. This was stitched on an 18 count shale by Picture This Plus Fabrics, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I had several variegated flosses that I wanted to use, and so for the stems of the flowers I used Celadon by Weeks Dye Works, and for the petals of the flowers I used Jacaranda by Cottage Garden Threads. And I think it turned out really cute, and I'm planning on making it into a little hanging ornament. So hopefully by next video I'll have that completed and ready to show you guys. Before I hop into more of my crafty things, I'd like to move on to another segment called Wildlife Minute, where I give a little talk on wildlife, biology, animals, or anything that strikes my fancy. So hopefully you'll learn something new today, and it will encourage you to take a deeper dive into the wonders of the natural world. But if you're only here for the stitchy things, feel free to skip ahead. Hello, Wildlife Kenzie here, and today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about belted kingfishers. Belted kingfishers are extremely distinct and unique medium-sized birds with a large straight beak, a bluish-gray back and head, and a white chest and neck. The females have the extra beautiful coppery color across their chest, making them brighter than the males, which is quite unusual in the bird world. Belted kingfishers are very widespread and found all across Canada, the US, Mexico, and even on the northern tip of South America. They are found near lakes, rivers, and streams, and they eat mainly fish and crustaceans. These birds are not particularly picky because they will eat anything from insects to frogs, snakes, and small mammals as well. So what happens in the wintertime when bodies of water freeze over? Some belted kingfishers migrate further south, but others are able to reside and handle the cold weather. It kind of just depends on food availability. During the breeding season, the male and female kingfisher will burrow out a tunnel near a creek bed and will lay around 5 to 8 eggs with 1 to 2 broods per year. They fiercely defend their territory from other kingfishers and will stay monogamous for the breeding season, parting ways once the breeding season is over. Similarly to raptors, belted kingfishers will cough up pellets full of bones, fish scales, and shells because they aren't able to easily digest them. Belted kingfishers are extremely unique and beautiful birds, and they're one of my favorites because they remind me of the Australian species of the bird called the kookaburra. They have a lot of the same characteristics and look very similar, and so I find that extremely cool. I hope you've learned something new today about belted kingfishers, and let's head back to the stitching. All right, welcome back. I'd like to share 2 fully finished pieces that were stitched by my friend Karen, the Stitching Owl. Karen has been gracious enough to model stitch my designs, and even more incredible than that, she's gifted them to me. And I know I had mentioned in my previous video how thankful I am for Karen, and I'd just like to reiterate that. So if you're not watching Karen, please do give her a watch and a subscribe. I'll make sure to link her down below as well. Her stitching is exquisite, and she is such a talented and giving person. I would highly recommend her. She's stitched 3 of my designs so far, and I was able to fully finish 2 of them into hanging ornaments. So the first one is Tufted Titmouse, and this was stitched on an unnamed 36 count even weave, hand dyed by Rolanda, and I thought it would be a perfect circle finish. I accented the back with a really pretty blue floral and placed a pom-pom trim to finish off the edges. I think this turned out really beautiful, and I am so beyond pleased to display this as my cover picture for this pattern. The next fully finish is my second design called Burke's Parakeet, and it was stitched on a 40 count Verdal called Sea Breeze, dyed by Roxy Floss Company. Now this was made into another ornament finish, but I thought a rectangle would fit the design better. And I'm really happy with how this one turned out as well. I used the same backing fabric as the previous design, and then I also trimmed the edges with some rickrack and some pom-pom trim. So 2 easy and simple finishes for 2 beautiful pieces. And these will be used when I'm able to hopefully display my designs at trunk shows in the future. Both of these designs and more are available at my Etsy shop, which will be listed down below. As many of you know, another craft that I really like to do is crochet. And this past month I tried something completely different, and it's based off the Crochet Bobble stitch. And what's really cool about this is that it creates a grid, so sort of like cross stitch, where each pixel is a bobble stitch. And you can use small cross stitch charts with limited colors to create this bobble stitch artwork, and it's really cool. So the first one I tried as an experiment was this one. And it's just a little bee, and I think it turned out pretty good. I wish I had stayed with one color for the background, but I was kind of experimenting and using up scrap yarn that I had in the stash. It was really fun, but a bit difficult with all of the color changes because you have to switch your working yarn with another color and things get really tangly really fast. So I was really addicted to stitching this one and immediately went out and bought more yarn for another one. And then I started and finished this one. Featuring a blue jay. And these were just free patterns that I found online. I'll see if I can link where I found some of these patterns if you're interested in trying this. And I'll also make sure to link the YouTube tutorial that explains how to bobble stitch and how to read a grid pattern. This was much more difficult than the first one because it had a lot more color changes. But once you got used to making the color changes, it was kind of fun to constantly be switching colors. But I'm really pleased with how this turned out, and I'm really proud of it. As far as what I'll do with these, I'm not entirely sure. I could make them into wall hangings, or I could possibly make them into pillows. So we'll see. I haven't decided yet. The backs are absolute disasters with all of the color changes, but that doesn't really bother me because it will be covered up anyway with however I decide to finish it. So this was a really fun experiment, and I would highly recommend trying this if you're into crochet. It kind of combines crochet and cross stitch in a really unique way, but I would only try this if you're an intermediate level crocheter because there's a lot of yarn swapping and it gets complicated real fast. But I would highly recommend this. I'm planning on doing another one that's a little bit simpler. It's going to be a little hummingbird, and I'm excited to get started on it. I do have some 1, 2, 3 stitch haul that I'd like to share with you guys, and let's first start out with a pattern that I bought. Now, I know everyone has been freaking out over the Cottage Garden Samplings A Year in the Woods 2, and with good reason. Her designs are stunning, and she's probably one of my favorite designers to date. And so, as you guys probably know, she came out with the wolf, and I had to get this one. It's just a really cool design, and I absolutely loved it. And then she came out with the sugar glider and the koala, and yep, I'm gonna have to get those as well. They are so good. So I'll definitely be placing another 1, 2, 3 stitch order soon so that I can get those safely in my stash. So that was my first purchase. I also bought a couple cross-stitch fabrics because the wolf pattern could not travel alone, and it's always good to have a nice stash of fabrics. The first fabric I bought was an 18 count, 1/8 of a yard cut of Earthen by Picture This Plus Fabrics. And it's this really beautiful, light peachy tan, and it's a really good neutral that whites would really pop off of. The next piece of fabric that I bought is an 18 count conifer. This is what it looks like. This is also by Picture This Plus, and it's this beautiful dark green. And actually, I bet the wolf would look amazing on this fabric. I might actually pair those two together. And then the last piece of fabric I bought is called Pickled, and it's an 18 count, also by Picture This Plus Fabrics. This one is more of a brighter, acidy green, and it's a really fun color. So I'm really pleased with all 3 of those, and I'm happy to have them in my stash. The last thing that I bought from 1, 2, 3 Stitch is a color swatch card. And this I have been needing to get for a long time, especially as someone that designs patterns. And a lot of times the computer generated colors don't necessarily match the actual DMC colors, and so having this will be extremely helpful in making sure that I'm choosing my colors correctly. and it's just so fun to look at. Let me try and open it up here. I love that they actually have the threads and not just the printed colors. So the only thing I wish that they had would be the ability to take out an individual color out of the stack so that I can place it next to other colors and compare and contrast them. That would have been super helpful for me, but just having this is going to make a world of a difference. And speaking of designing Mudpuppy Stitchery patterns, I wanted to throw out a question to see what people would think. If I were to start a Patreon, would people be interested in joining it? I know that a lot of smaller designers like Diana Bloom Designs and the Artsy Housewife have been successful in creating a Patreon and making exclusive patterns, and I've been mulling over the idea of creating my own Patreon. Would you guys recommend it, or would you even be interested in that? I'm not entirely sure yet, but I wanted to ask your opinion first. Let me know in the comments down below. And my last bit of haul is a bit of a big one. I actually bought an iPad and an iPad stand. So I have been hearing so many good things from so many people about stitching using an iPad and a stand that I needed to try it out myself. So it's been on my list for a while, and I'm super happy that I finally have it. And so for the past month, I've been digitally stitching, and it really does make a huge difference. I've been really impressed. And there's a couple things that I love about it. So first off, the stand makes the biggest difference of them all. We'll see if I can get this in focus here. Because I can get my iPad right at about eye level, just above my stitching, and it makes it super comfortable to see my chart right at eye level. And I'll make sure to link the iPad stand that I bought down below because I'm really enjoying it. And two, I'm able to blow up the chart really big and mark stitches off using my finger. That has been extremely helpful rather than having a paper chart and a highlighter. As far as what program I'm using, I actually have not been using Markup RXP or MaxStitch or any of those apps. I've actually been using a free app called UDoodle. I ended up downloading and trying Markup RXP, but I was having issues blowing up the chart as big as I wanted, and it just wasn't working as well as I thought it would. Now that's most likely user error because I'm very new to the program, but I just wasn't enjoying it and wanted to try something different. So I downloaded a free app called UDoodle, and it basically is an app where you can pull in a picture and draw all over it. So I would take an iPad picture of the cross-stitch chart and upload that into UDoodle. And then I'm able to take the pen icon and scribble all over the picture and save it, which has been extremely helpful. Of course, I'm not getting the percentage of stitches completed or any of the other really helpful things that Markup RXP has in their program. But if you want something simple and easy and you're a little bit intimidated by the cross-stitch programs, just using UDoodle has been extremely helpful for me. So I would highly recommend it, and it's free. So I'm finally a digital stitcher now, and yes, it has definitely made a huge difference in my stitching routine. So if you've been on the edge and not sure if you should invest in an iPad and an iPad stand, I would say go for it. You'll definitely notice a huge difference. And so that's been really fun to upgrade, and I'm really excited to keep using it. I did want to mention that I did a really cool tutorial video for Flosstube number 34, and if you haven't seen it, I'll make sure to link it down below. If you've ever wondered how to turn a charcuterie board into a cross-stitch display, this is the video for you. I think it turned out really nice. It was a really nice tutorial video, and I put a lot of work into it, so I hope you'll take a look and give it a like. And that is all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please like the video, please comment down below and check out my Etsy page, which will also be linked, and please follow me at Mudpuppy Stitchery on Instagram to keep an eye on what I'm doing in between videos. So I appreciate you so very much, and I hope to see you in a couple weeks. So take care, do some bird watching, and stitch all of the things. Bye!